Hello again, this is Kim with Preservation Solutions, and the video you're about to watch is the second in a three-part series on treating wood cookies with Pentacryl. So this one picks up where the first one was treating the cookies. This one picks up to where it's going to show you how to dry them. So the next step in our treatment process is to get our cookies dried. So the ones that are in the Pentacryl soak, as you can see, were pretty saturated. So what we're going to do first is just let those drip dry on some wire racks before we move on to the next step. So we'll get that excess Pentacryl off of there. Now all our cookies have been removed from the soak tank. The ones that we were using the brushing method on, we've got the plastic off and they're all ready to go. They look a little bit darker because they're still wet with the Pentacryl, but as they dry, it's going to lighten up and it's going to return the wood to the natural color. So, as I mentioned earlier, 80 to 90% of the drying in wood occurs through the end grain. And since cookies are 100% end grain on both sides, they're going to dry super quick. So the second key to using Pentacryl successfully, besides completely saturating the piece of wood, is to dry it super slow. So we really want to control the drying on these. So what we recommend is cutting out cardboard circles like this and then taping them nice and snug to the sides. And what that does is that slows down that surface drying, it slows down that end grain drying, and it forces the wood to dry evenly. So it forces that middle to dry at the same rate as the ends, and that's really what we want. Okay, so in addition to the cardboard, another option is to just take some brown paper, some brown wrapping paper, and just loosely wrap the cookies in this. And what this does, this has the same effect as the cardboard, is it really keeps the air off of there and slows down the drying. Okay, there's two more tips I wanted to tell you about. First one is, if you're in a high humid area or you're worried about mold growing on your wood, what you can do is just spray it with some Lysol before you put the cardboard on there. Colorado's very dry in nature, especially this time of year, so I'm not too worried about mold on our cookies. And then second, I wanted to let you know that I'm keeping the bark on all of my cookies. And what's nice about that while they're drying is the bark also acts as a sealer around the edges and really slows down that drying as well, and that's what we want. So if you want to take the bark off, you can do it after the cookies have dried. So now that we've removed all our cookies from the soak tank, we can do two things with this leftover Pentacryl. We can either treat more wood with it if you have more cookies to put in or any other type of green wood, or two, you can put it back into the original container. So that's what I'm going to do. Is we don't want to waste any of it, so we're going to use what we had in our small soak tank here. And you want to put a strainer on it just to catch all those wood chips and sawdust and everything, so that's not going back into the Pentacryl. And then for our big soak tank, we're just gonna scoop it out. Again, strain it to get any wood chips or sawdust out of there. So we've got all of our cookies either wrapped in brown paper or cardboard taped to both sides. And I've moved them into a vacant office, and the heat in here is set between 55 and 60, so that's ideal drying conditions for this wood. And as you can see, I've also got them standing on edge, and the reason for this is we want them to dry nice and even, and by standing them on edge, airflow can get to both sides. Also wanted to let you know that these cookies are wide enough where they stand on their own. However, if you've got cookies that are thinner and won't stand up by themselves, you'll want to just put something between them to prop them up so they don't fall over like dominoes. And right here, we've got our untreated pieces, so we're going to keep an eye on those as well. So for now, we're just going to let these dry, and I'll check back in a week and see how they're doing. Okay, so it's been about 10 days since our cookies have been in the drying area. And what we want to do is we want to take a peek at them. Even though we need to let them dry nice and slow, we still want to check them. So if you see some checking or cracking starting, then that means they're drying too fast. So what I did is just opened up one of these larger aspen cookies, and as you can see, it's looking really well. There's no surface checking starting. There's no major cracks around the edge, which is what we want. And the surface is starting to feel nice and dry. So let's also take a peek at one of our pine cookies that's been covered in the cardboard. And that one too is looking well. It's got no surface checking, which is what we want. So we know that the drying in here is doing really well. So what we're gonna do is just let these continue to dry and we'll check back. Okay, so it's week 2 of our cookies been drying. And I just wanted to show you, these are our pieces that were untreated. So as you can see, this one's getting more significant cracks in it on our pine cookie. And then our aspen cookie as well is starting to crack a little bit more. As you can see through the sawdust, it's got major cracks here and here and here and through the middle as well. So we'll still keep an eye on these, but just wanted to give you an update on what they look like. So we're back in the drying area checking on our cookies. We started treating these in September and now it's February. So these have been drying a good 4 to 5 months. So what we're gonna do now is check, open some of these back up. This is one of our pine cookies and it looks really good. It's nice and bright. What's nice about the Pentacryl is it doesn't darken the wood. There's no checking on here at all, not even any surface checking, which is great. And then let's take a look at one of our large large aspen cookies. This is one of our bigger ones, like a 14-inch diameter, and that one also looks really well. It's nice and dry. There's no surface checking at all. And then I wanted to show you, these are the 2 pieces that we left untreated. So this pine cookie, as you can see, has quite a bit of surface checking here, and then it's got a big crack here. And like we said, the characteristic of cookies when they're drying is there's so much tension on this outer rim that it's going to want to crack on the outside in towards the pith to relieve that tension. And that's exactly what this one has done. And then same with our aspen cookie. There's a huge crack here to relieve the tension in towards the pith. Got some cracking here. And then on this side as well, we've got some big surface checks. So those are our untreated pieces. I get a lot of questions on how long does it take my wood to dry? And for that question, there's no set answer because it's going to vary greatly depending on, first, how much moisture content is in this wood to start with. So how much water's in there before you start treating it. It's also going to depend on the type of wood you're treating, the size of wood you're treating, how thick it is, and then it's going to depend on the temperature and humidity where the wood is being dried. So what I would recommend is just dry the wood slowly, keep checking it as it's drying like we have, keep an eye on it, make sure there's no cracking or checking going on. And then another key to know when your wood is dry is to check the moisture content. And I got this new moisture meter, which is really cool because it's the kind that has the flat surface. So this just lays on the wood and it checks the moisture content in the middle. So moisture content under 10% is ideal and what we want. That way we know that these cookies are nice and dry. So stay tuned for part 3 of this series where we're going to show you how to sand and stain and apply a finish to these cookies.